Hey game dev. Just to start off, we're going to start off with functions and the placements of variables, just to recap what we did this week. Now a little handy trick that I picked up while coding was that never try to call upon your main. I was told that it's like the worst thing you can do. Don't understand why, it doesn't seem to work properly, but I always find that since you cannot return to your or call upon your main, call upon something else. Just have that other function as your main function. So what I always seem to do is I always create a class. I call it init. It's like the main that is init. That's how I see it. And whatever I find that I would put in main, I put in init. Okay? So I'll go int init and set my parentheses, return 0. And now it should work. Now what's going to happen in this program so far is it's going to look through my O stream, going to get my string, std, and then it's going to recognize that init's there, go through it there, be like, oh yeah, I know that's all there, go into the main, and then call upon this init function. It'll go inside this init function and do everything that's inside this block of code. So right now I just have return 0, so it'll just skip it and then go straight to a system pause and then end the game. Okay? Just to show you what I'm talking about, I'll do a cout. Hello. And let's see what that looks like. There we go. We got hello, and I didn't put an end else, but it still says press any key to continue. Okay, so the one thing that Tony did not tell us, which is he's going to next week, was that how to place functions below the main. Because right now it's only above because the system will not know where init is unless I tell it where it is. Okay, so I can't just say go to init because the system does not know. It won't compile to init because it hasn't been recognized yet. Right? So it'll go left to right, top to bottom, and it'll go straight into main, and it'll be like, oh, okay, where's init? It hasn't gone through it yet. So what I found out was that you just declare an integer like I did with init. Just call it init. And put a little semicolon at the front. Now, the system will scan through my code, right? All through that. It'll find out what init is, and then go into main. And then call upon init. And now it'll go into init. If I don't have this, and try and run it, it'll give me an error. Right? If I do have it, and run it, I got hello, press any key to continue. Pretty simple. Okay. Now we're going to work with local variables and global variables. A local variable is a variable that is defined within a set of parentheses in a function. So right here, whatever variable I define in here, so I will call it int x equals 0. That is called a local variable. It can only be called upon here. It can only be accessed within these parentheses. And if I try to access x right here, so I'll go cout x, it'll give me a little squiggly. X isn't undefined. That means that it's like in order to access x, you have to declare it as a global variable, or something that I can't talk about because Tony said not to until next week. Okay, so we'll in order to get rid of the squiggly brackets, we'll declare x as a global variable. Boom. What I did there was I defined x above main. So it compiles through my code. It goes iostream string std. It knows what my init function is, and then it knows what integer x is. It's equal to 0. Now, the one problem with this is that if I make another integer and call it x and equal it to 1, now two variables have been initialized, but when I'm in main, x overrides the original x. Just to show you what I'm talking about, I'll see out x. I'll put an endl under here. Get rid of this. Now it's going to say 1, show a new line. It's going to go into init. It's going to skip down to here, and it's going to show 0 because this x is now being defined as 0 because it's a global variable. I have no x being initialized in init. And then it'll pop out of init, throw out a system pause, and then end the game. So we'll see 1, new line, 0, new line, press any key to continue, ... There we go. That's just a recap on global variables and local variables. There's one other thing that Tony taught us, and it was void. Okay, so the difference between void and returning 0 onto an integer, I never really understood it, but I was told to always use integer so it can return 0 because 0 is a value and void returns nothing. Makes sense, I guess. Nothing is 0, but 0 is a value. It's confusing. Just do as Tony says, and you'll do fine. Alright, so void returns nothing. I don't even have to have this return. It'll still go throughout the code, still give me 1, 0, and it'll still pop out. You don't have to have that return unless you wanted it to return halfway through the code. So like say I say return, but then here we'll have cout, some crazy gibberish crap. I don't even have to have an endl there because it's not going to pop out. Right? It's still going to say 1, 0, and then press any key to continue. Return just ended this function, went back into main, and went to the system pause, and then press any key to continue to end the game. That was just a quick recap on how to do functions and the placement of variables. Hope it helped.